Lucky you, new space.
Yeah, you
Oh
haven't seen it yet, huh?
no, this is the first. We'll call this a teaser.
Yeah. No, it's nice. We got whole ass kitchen
Oh
over here,
shit! Oh look at that.
breakfast nook
Yeah.
situation, and then back there we got the bathroom, and then to that way is the bedroom.
Yeah.
So we got space. Got a nice like full couch from the neighbor over here.
All
Got the
right.
other couch because he was moving out, and he was just like, "Hey, I got this couch," and it like matched my other couch. It was like
Nice.
the same kind of white plush sort of material, and I was like, "Oh, fucking perfect."
Are those
So that
fake
was a
plants?
big. No, not all of them. Some of these ones are fake. That one's real, and then a few of the ones over here are real. Um, trying our best to keep those alive.
Uh-huh. And the tiger rug. I mean, can we? I can't ignore that. I feel.
Had to get it, you know.
Oh my.
Well, I had a like a white sort of shag rug, but it was like kind of shit, and Zena basically ruined it.
Oh,
I
so you saw
saw the
that
sweet.
somewhere at a like spooky like Chinese like
Yeah,
store that also sells gremlins if you show up at the right time.
that's the same place I got Zena. Yeah. No, I don't know. I just thought I was like, oh, that's kind of sick, and I'm just trying to keep it funky and fresh. I wasn't really sure what to do with it, but yeah, no, it's there for now. Soon it's holding it down.
Okay, well, it ties the room together. I'll give you that.
Yeah, we gotta have a good rug to tie it together. Rugs are so expensive, man.
They really
It's
are. Yeah,
crazy.
when I bought mine, I mean, I bought mine. I think it was pretty cheap from Wayfair. But if you go somewhere like a legit place, I mean, they get up there like just like an extra foot on each side. You know, tax on seemingly another like $50 or something. You know?
Yeah, and like high quality ones, man, they just get really, really expensive. I mean, a good
Yeah,
rug is
like
nice, but
in
damn, it's
Persian.
just crazy. Yeah, you really can't. You can't really skimp on them either. If you buy the cheap ones and just like, ah, shit. The one I had was just like, it was just so floppy. Like, Xena would run back and forth and the whole thing would get bunched up. And then it was white and it just started looking all stained and shit. I was just like, all right, fuck this thing. It's gotta go.
Oh yeah,
But
good
she
luck
was
with
still
what?
potty training. She had like peed on it a few times. And, just
Of course,
like,
that wasn't by accident. That was claiming territory. That rugs hurts.
yeah. Come here. Come here. Come here. She wants to throw the ball all day. I've been letting her out. So like since I moved here, the neighbors, my like apartment is like one of those double sort of like you stare at each other matching type of apartments, and then there's like a courtyard in between.
Okay.
And my neighbors across the way are super sweet, and like everyone like loves Xena, and she's just like super friendly and like goes up and like has to say hi to everybody. But I can just like leave my door open. My neighbors over here, they go and sit out in the grass, and they'll just like hang out with her, and I'll just let her come and go, and they just like love her. They like barely speak any English, and they're just like Xena, Xena.
Uh,
And
what's the so there's a courtyard, but then there's a another gate. Oh, well, she can get out of there if she wants.
she can, but she doesn't really run. I mean, I can take her off leash, and she'll just stay pretty close. I've been doing small walks with her where I'm just like, all right, come on, and but the only thing is, if there's other dogs or people, she just like is super friendly and wants to like say hi to them. So
Yeah.
like I have to like if somebody's around, I'm kind of like, all right, get on the leash. But she's pretty good about it. Sometimes she gets a little like bullheaded and or like hyper fixated on just smelling stuff, and but a lot of times she's pretty good about just hanging around.
That's so funny how like she's a young, she's a puppy. She goes up to everyone and just wants to hang out, but she doesn't know yet that not only are there dogs that are not friendly, but there are people who are like, "What the fuck is this creature here?" Like,
Yeah, that doesn't compute to her at all. Like, and it is weird too because most everyone, it's like Xena's very like not threatening and cute and everything, but every now and then you get somebody who's like, it's like all right, whatever, sorry, like so it's just a funny thing with dogs.
first off, I'm allergic. And
First of
this,
all, control your dog.
yeah, completely microaggressed me with his allergies. So
Yeah. There's also you get weird dog owners too who are like total freaks. And it's just like, all right. Like people have dogs and they'll be like they expect dogs not to act like dogs. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's a fucking dog. And then they'll be like, I'm like, you're mad at a dog for being a dog. Like, why do you have a dog? You know, like it makes no sense. You know, you'll see people at like the dog park and they'll just treat their dog like it's some baby and they're just like, oh, what? It's like, why are you here? Like, what do you want to get from this experience? You
what do you mean
know?
they don't let it run around and just like
Yeah,
cuddle it?
they'll just like they'll be like what, and then they'll just like act like, and then their dog will be a crazy like dog, and then they'll just like I don't know. It's just really weird. Like I can't explain it like without really specific examples, but yeah, they'll just either like I've seen people bring their dog to the dog park and literally not let them down, and just like
Weird.
carry their dog around, and I'm like, what is the point of this? You know, like and just yeah, just weirdos who will like overreact about like little things. Like if Cena likes to kind of like she jumps and like gets a little excited, but she's small, you know. It's easy to pull her back and make sure she doesn't jump on anybody inappropriately.
Yeah.
But every now and again, you know, somebody be like, oh, it's like the dog didn't even touch you, you know, like. And
Yeah.
you have a dog, and my dog like she literally like gets down when other dogs are coming and like waits for them because she wants to say hi, and I'm just like I can't pull her, you know. I'm just like I have to sit there and be like hi. Can my dog say hi?
No,
Um,
no, you cannot.
yeah, and then like one person was like walking by, and Xena kind of jumped up and barked a little bit, and then they were like, oh. And it was just like, what did you think this dog was doing? You know, like you have a dog and you can't read this like dog body language, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're surprised when the dog like jumped up excitedly when you passed. Like you're just not like paying attention. I think some people just don't are either like emotionally like because dogs are very emotional. You know, they're kind of like you can pick up things if you pay attention. You know,
Right.
it's like, oh, something's bothering you. Like, okay, like let's figure this out. You know, like, but I just don't think some people have that connection or that ability to read their dogs or just haven't even tried.
Mhm.
So it's just really weird when you kind of run into like, I guess like tone deaf type of dog owners. You know,
Well, people are like that with human beings. Like
yeah.
luck being a dog with even more amorphic and vague tells on your
Well,
emotions.
yeah, I have to assume they're like as emotionally brain dead towards like everyone around them and like can't pick up on things, you know, like at all. You know,
I
they
also think
they can't
that
do it.
the type of person who's like super crazy with those like little dogs and like that won't let it down, like that type of person is attracted to a certain dog, which is the smaller dogs. But I feel like if
Yeah,
you have someone with a bigger dog, that's a whole different personality trait, right? Like you got
yeah.
someone you got like a pit bull or a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd, like that motherfucker isn't coddling dogs like that, right?
I mean, you really can't with those dogs. You know, like you have to have a strong arm and like assert your will over those type of dogs. You know, like so. I don't know. I mean, you definitely know you should know what you're signing up for when you get a larger dog. You know, there is more responsibility, I think, in terms of just like making sure the dog is trained, making sure it's well behaved in public, you know, because it just can get scary really quick. You know, a larger dog that's like unpredictable is like not okay.
Oh, for sure. But my grandma on my dad's side, she's probably 5'2", lived her own alone, like ever since I've been alive. Because I'm pretty sure like my grandfather died either before I was born or shortly after.
Mm.
So and she's always had this like big yard and at least two Rottweilers walking around. Sometimes three. She'd have like a German Shepherd as well. Like she fucking
Mm.
eats like big ass dogs. And she's like all of like zero. Like, old ladies, what do they weigh now? Like 80 pounds. Like
Yeah,
she's
right.
absolutely
Like a
bad.
five
And
two lady.
like somehow can strong arm these dogs to the point
Hmm.
where they absolutely like defend her with their lives.
Oh yeah, I mean dogs are amazing. They really are, and the fact that they'll be so loyal and understand that they're like I am bigger and stronger than you, but I'm also like I'm yours to protect you. You know, like that whole thing. It's like It's super crazy.
Pack animals. She feeds them, so it's like they understand the pecking order.
Yeah, for sure. It's really it's fun. I mean, I'm not to the point where like I want to get another dog, but it's like I think about it. I'm like, it would be nice to have like for her to have a friend, and so she wouldn't be just like obsessed with me as she is. Uh, we also have a situation where she got fleas, so
Oh
we've been
shit!
dealing with that, and like you have to like it's not like a one and done flea bath type of situation, like you don't just get rid of them that easy. They're very persistent. So I got a bunch of spray, been spraying the house like almost daily, and then I've given her like I think two flea baths at this point, and one sort of like foam sort of rub, which I don't like that one because she's gotten sick when I use that because she still is like nibbling on her flea itches,
Hmm.
and I think that just she gets so much in her mouth and then she's like throws up. Yeah.
What about flea collar?
Got the flea collar too. Got the whole like defense. They have like pills you can give them too, which need to look into. But yeah, it kind of occurred to me. I was like you're kind of scratching a lot, like, and then I started like I was like, well, how do I know? I like looked it up and I was like, fuck. And then I started looking, and then I was like, ah, shit, I saw one, and I was like, fuck. Like, all right. So I just like I started ordering all this shit. I was like, God damn it. So been battling that for about a week. And
Oh
yeah.
man, did you remember that time we had hold on, were you getting bit up by these fleas? Is that how you found it, or you saw her scratching?
I had been seeing her scratch, and then I did get bit a few times, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this? Like, this is a weird bite." And I just kind of like, I was like, "Shit," like, what is this? So, yeah, just kind of put two and two together. It probably took me too long to realize, like, oh shit, I don't have any like flea defense for this dog, and then, yep, she got him.
Do you remember when we had that outbreak with Alicia's cats?
Did we at the old
Did
place?
we? Oh, yeah, dude. We
Oh,
had
you. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were getting bit up like crazy. I never really got bit.
Yeah, I know, and that pisses me off because I'm like, why is it every time there's like a bug that eats people around, it like chooses me? Like,
Yeah.
I woke up, dude. There was a moment where I had 50 bites on my left calf, the other 50 on my right calf, a few of them like hanging around my back and whatnot. But it was just like it was disrespectful actually. The way they would like come at me, and I still have
Yeah.
scratches on my legs like from those bites.
Really?
Like my legs are
Or that
a
bad?
disaster.
Damn. Yeah, I do remember that now that you say that. I was just like,
And you
um,
guys didn't have any bites, and like the cats were basically hanging out all over, like especially Alicia, but like you two and on those couches. And I'm like, how is no one else getting fucking destroyed here but me?
well, the thing is, I think if they get in your bed, that's when they'll attack. I think they like nocturnally hunt. Because like, you had, what's her name always like resting on your bed. So they
Yeah.
probably got in your sheets, and we stopped letting them into the bedroom because I was having like allergic reactions to them and feeling like shit. So
I
yeah,
remember.
that was
Oh,
that's
okay.
part of it. No, that's it. That's all.
Oh, I remember when when I tried to bomb that room and fucking little one snuck in after me.
Oh yeah,
And I shut the door. And dude, had you not just happened to turn around and notice my cat snuck in there, that's a dead cat. Like,
oh yeah. That was close. I remember that. I was like, whoa, shit. I just barely saw her because she did it like super stealthily.
why did
Um,
cats do that? Why do they like you leave a room and just like slip in?
Dude, cats just like being sneaky, man. I don't know what it is. They just love that shit.
Dude,
But
how
yeah, no, the new place is super dope though, man. You gotta come check it out. It's just like so much better.
well, I was gonna come up and I hit up Dustin. I was like, oh yeah, that Cole's place downtown apparently is shutting down. I was like,
Mm.
gotta get some like French dips and just like hang out, but you couldn't make it. So I was like, okay, I was gonna hit you up and then got caught up with something else. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm free next week. If you're you're not doing anything, come up and check out the spot at the beach.
Yeah, I've been wanting to like try to have like a mini like housewarming party with just like the guys and maybe like one or two others just to be like, hey, come out because I can actually have people over and it wouldn't be like terrible,
Hang
Like
out
actual
that nook.
places to sit. Yeah, check out the Nook.
When being that
Uh,
nook,
yeah, and it's just like it's so much quieter over here. It's just like it made so much difference, and the walkability has just like opened up my world. I'm like so much more happy here than I was at the old place.
oh yeah.
It's great.
So the only thing bugging you now is just the Instagram wars you get into when you're spreading your anti-Semitic lies.
My anti-Semitic screes online.
Yeah.
Um,
How that
you know, I
resolved?
don't, honestly, it was fine. It's just so weird. It's such a strange thing
Well, hold on.
to
Let's explain to
even.
the audience what you got in an argument over because I don't know if
Right.
you and I were on the same page, but I think we're on the same page now, which is that like Van Jones is kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's this guy. He's got like a great sort of like look and decorum, and sort of like he could be such a good like asset and like political force for like positive change. I think but legitimately, it's like he's like too media trained, and then obviously like this whole situation, like he's just doing apex work, like all of them, which is insane, like and this is the core of like the problem that's coming to the forefront for a lot of people. I think on both sides of the political aisle, which is it's so crazy to see. Which it's like it's funny because you do have like the legit like anti-Semitic right, like like being like, hey, I this exactly, but it's just like no, 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 wait,
That
no, come, hold on now, we're not going that far. But the fact that like this whole full circle thing of like agreeing with your other side about like, hey, something's deeply wrong here in our country and the influence that this outside force is wielding. But anyways, the Van Jones thing was like I never had a problem with him, and then I just saw he just posted this thing, and it was basically like the most disingenuous title. It's like, why are progressives letting down the Jewish people or something? It was so like shifty and like deliberately like guilt inducing, and just like this is like the problem with all of these weird Zionistic Israeli like manipulative media tactics. They just always are kind of like they change the goalpost, or they try to consistently change the narrative to suit like what they want, how they want the thing to be perceived,
uh,
you know so he just wrote this big long thing, and it was just like it's just like not the conversation anyone needs. And then like once you start seeing this in the media, and it's like everywhere, it's like that Zoran thing where you're just like that whole sort of innocuous question of being like, hey, where are you going to visit? And first thing you're going to do. And his answer was just like, I'm going to stay here. And then everyone's just like, what? He wouldn't say Israel. He wouldn't say Israel. And it's like, what? Why did he need to so badly that it's so like problematic? And it just got so normalized because nobody was really like asking the question of like, everyone was just kind of like, I don't want to like, I don't know, that's too complicated. I don't want to get involved. For like literally all of our lifetime, it felt like that. Like most people were just kind of like, Israel's our ally, and we're just not going to ask questions. That is what it is. But now that like, once you really put a spot like Gaza, like on what you're doing, and then we start really asking questions as Americans, and it's just the whole disingenuous thing. I wrote this like long thing in response to his thing, and I got like 200 plus likes, and then literally just like Zionists on there coming in and just like saying crazy things, And I was very like I want to say like polite, deliberate, just made sure I wasn't like it was very just like, hey, this is disingenuous, like come on now, you're better than this type of thing. And and it was just weird. It's a weird mental kerfuffle and a clusterfuck of an argument. And then the way they argue is always all of this whataboutisms and pointing fingers and never addressing the merit of like any of like what you're trying to get at. And they just constantly deflect and just like call out Muslims and like say it's like all about this or that. You know, it's just like this is crazy. You know, it's impossible to argue like in a legitimate like way that is productive with people who are gonna like come to the table and like behave like that. And you see it like again and again. Anyone who wants to debate, like I don't know if you saw recently that Dave Smith debated that Zionist guy at like the Republican convention thing.
Oh, yeah, turning point.
Yeah, and all that guy would do is like kind of dog whistle the patriotic stuff, the MAGA based talking stuff, like our presidents are, and then just like the same stuff, just deflect, mud rake towards because he just wouldn't address any of the merits of like any of the actual situation. It's always just like, what about this? Blah, 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 and they do all this like it's like all Ben Shapiro, just like mental gymnastics to try to make their hypocrisy make sense, you know?
Yeah. Before I respond to what you just said, a fun tidbit I I found out recently. I was watching Family Guy, like the most recent episode, and
Yeah.
they name dropped Ben Shapiro. You know, it's like what? Like
They
Ben?
did on there. Is that new?
Yeah, the new episode. I was watching something, and they made the Ben Shapiro joke. And I was like, what the fuck? Like Ben isn't that important, is he? Like to be name dropped like that? But it was it's
I
not
mean, I
politics.
think he's like he's not as fringe as he used to be. You know, like I wouldn't say he's like a household name, but like he's definitely like one of the bigger faces. Not one of the bigger, but like a big face in that MAGA world or the right
Yeah.
wing. Just weird.
I don't know, man. That just seemed wild to me. It's like, holy shit, you're just gonna like name drop. Okay, but I guess, hey, congratulations, Ben, you made it. But yeah, just the whole thing with you were saying with like, cause what October 7th was two years ago now, and some of these arguments that they throw at you as far as being like, well, you don't understand, you're an anti-Semite if you don't think Israel doesn't have the right to defend themselves and blah 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 blah. Like there was a time when now it was a really effective sort of like cudgel,
Mm-hmm.
but dude, 2 years hence and you're watching a genocide happen. It's like that's they're bombing schools, bombing hospitals. They're killing like stupid amounts of civilians.
Yeah.
Supposedly dropping off aid, but like when people go and get the food off the aid trucks, they're like gunning down people just trying to get food,
Yeah.
and it's just like, at what point do you realize if you're Van Jones, if you have the ability to, that like you can't use these terms like anti-Semite when in regards to why a person doesn't like what Israel's doing. Like all the evidence is out there. It's not like we're back in 2001 or whatever, after 9/11, and you can just drum up fear of the other. Speaking of Zoran, anti Islamic or anti-Muslim bigotry is like still
Hysteria.
there apparently, and it's fine. That's okay to do. Um,
Mm.
but even back in 2001, after 9/11, we were all like bloodthirsty as far as like getting back after like the Middle East. We're in turn of the glass over there, drop nukes. Like at least we didn't have the ability to look online and see like, oh wait a second, they don't like us because we've been fucking with their country for the last you know I don't know 50 plus years,
Yeah.
and there's been terrorist cells building because of what we've done to them.
Right.
Here we're watching it happen in real time, and they're still trying to be like, no, if you think that you know Israel killing kids is bad, that's just because you got some deep seated like bigotry. It's like, dude, fuck off. That's not going to work. It's done. You're done with it. And I think
Yeah.
there's something that uh, Israel and Zionist supporters don't understand. I'm pretty sure Israel's like cooked itself. They just don't know because like the above Gen X, I think is probably the cutoff. Everyone everyone older than that is still kind of like, oh yeah, Israel's our ally, blah blah blah. It
Yeah.
is what it is. Everyone younger than that is like, no, we're done with Israel. Like right? So as soon as
Yeah.
this machine gets some power, like it's over. It's over for them.
Well, it's yeah, and it's just it's again becoming this unifying thing for the right and the left to just be like why are we doing the bidding of this foreign government, and we have all of these problems at home, and everything becomes like we're getting into these wars, and it's just like it makes no fucking sense to anyone at this point, and the justifications do not add up, like, and again, it's like nobody's condoning October 7th. That was an atrocity, obviously, but it's like even what like Bill Burr was saying, it's like you know you don't blow up schools and kill children to get like your retribution for this. Like they're holding a hostage in this whole human shield argument. And it's like it was like, what's he saying? You work around that.
Yeah,
You're acting like that's the only solution. Well, I guess you have to just shoot through these kids to get to the bad guys, and then you're
right.
drugging their flower. There's been reports of that too. Like everything about what you're doing is despicable, and it's not justifiable in any by any metric. And to pretend like you're the good guy, and then it's so crazy that we live in a world where they literally made a Superman movie, and the bad
Oh,
guys are literally like Israel. Like
wait, have you
they're
seen that
like
movie?
I haven't seen it, but that's the
I
whole
saw it.
thing. It's just you have, or yeah. I'm curious now though. I kind of want to see it, but it's a funny thing that you as a country and as a people have to, this bastion, this symbol of good that's kind of like always been in this like cultural zeitgeist, at least within the U.S. and even like worldwide, and you're like, it used to always just be like China, Russia,
Yeah,
Middle East, whatever, but it's like, oh, they're saying it's you guys, and it's like,
yeah,
how are you gonna like justify that? Because everyone wants to still perceive themselves as the good guy, and these people obviously like on some level you have to morally grapple with it, and they try to say like it's all justified, and it's like, yeah, but like how much evidence do you need to be able to look yourself in the mirror and see that your behavior is abhorrent? Because that was the thing. It was like that whole argument. I was like, look in the mirror.
yeah.
Stop pointing at everyone else. Like you need to look in the mirror. Like you need to deal with like this reflection of yourself that the world is seeing. Like and you're just simply not. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so Superman. All right, so I went and saw the movie, and right off the bat, when I noticed, because like you're right, back in the day, there if there was a foreign enemy, it was either very clearly Russia
Mm-hmm.
or very clearly some amorphous Middle Eastern entity. But there were always of the dark skinned side. So it was like,
Mm-hmm.
someone that's Iraqi, Afghanistan, Afghani, like any of those types. Never the light skinned side. But yeah, so you get into the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like a major part. It's not like a major part of the plot, but it's kind of like a. I mean, honestly, it's almost no. I mean, it's necessary, but it's almost like shoehorned in. I thought. Anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
there's these two countries that fighting against each other. One is obviously Palestine or a Palestinian type because it's like they're
Mm-hmm.
poor. They don't have any weapons. Like anything. They're just like farmers basically gathering to protect their country. Whereas the other
Yeah.
side is lighter skinned. They've got the ear. They got the media, and they have the weapons and tech like that. And Superman is they're counting on Superman to help them, which you know they do end up getting help, yes. But at the moment, I'm just like, dude, this is fucking Israel. Like they almost like
Mm-hmm.
they have a made up name, a made up language, I guess.
Right.
Um, but it's very clearly the dynamics between Israel and
Right.
Palestine. So I was like, holy shit! Like I tried to shut off my political brain, but I couldn't like miss this. Like this is you. This is you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all that to say this, Spider or Superman was okay. I usually hate the Superman like franchise, but this was a decent movie. You should probably give it a look if you're into that stuff. But
Yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
loved it.
same. I'm like, oh, Superman, who cares? But then, like, the fact that it caused so much sort of controversy, and for
Yeah,
Ben Shabibo to have to go and do all of his mental gymnastics just to like make it make sense for him and fit into his worldview is just like hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's funny because like, what was his response? Like, well, we don't know if it's like, what's the history behind these two made-up countries? Like, is one side the terrorists, and one side is like, because one
Yeah,
side is
yeah.
obviously the. Well, it's funny because like one country is obviously an ally of America, but like Lex Luthor, his thing, he's a defense contractor, which is another thing too. Which when you look at a lot of the bad guys in early comics,
There,
they're basically all these like industrialist fucking billionaire assholes like
well,
Elon Musk.
this is something, yeah, I really wanted to dig into because, like, this is how I've been feeling about everything. It's like, like we've reached this like peak comic book villainy level of like ridiculousness within our society, where these like tech billionaires are full on like mask off, just doing whatever the fuck they want. They used to at least like try to like pitch this narrative of like, oh, we're making the world a better place somehow, but it's just like they don't even like try to sell anything. They're just literally like, this will work and it's profitable, and also just fuck you, like just take it. Like don't even like the Palantir situation. It's like, who wants this? Like
Oh,
what vision
Peter
for the
Thiel.
future is this, and why is this beneficial to anyone other than like the rich and powerful? And like everything is to that degree at this point, and it's just like it's so funny. Like I think there was this like sliver of like I don't know if it was naivety in me that just thought like the people in charge couldn't be this cartoonishly evil, like, but that is like gone. Like, and it's also just because of the actual behavior of these types of people that they just literally aren't presenting a future that is for the benefit of mankind at this point. You got Peter Thiel out here struggling to be able to answer whether or not humanity should survive. Like, and
Well, we
it's
need to think about that, Caleb. Like,
I'm really struggling here to like that's such a tough question, and you can just tell like the bubble that these people live within that they get to create for themselves, and the types of conversations that they have and the types of problems that they're trying to solve are just not for the betterment of like us collectively, because we've reached this point with these people are so wealthy they could potentially just start helping to solve problems,
yeah,
like, and they don't. They just want more for themselves, and it's psychotic, and we all sit here and listen to it. And this is the other thing, it's like that Stephen A. Smith fucking like rant. Just and it's kind of unrelated because he's not that level of like influence type of person, but he is that level of out of touch when he's out there fucking ranting and raving about who gives a fuck about the Epstein files. I got Friday night plans because I'm so fucking rich and cool, and like, and it's like,
oh,
bro,
we'll get
like,
to Epstein here soon. Don't worry.
yeah, but I just mean like the media in general, every time they have somebody on who's like, hey, and here's so and so to talk to, it's like, here's a multimillionaire to talk about, this cultural or fiscal policy, and they're just gonna like, and let's all listen to their opinion. We need to stop this. Like, it has to stop. Like, no one cares what Mr. Wonderful thinks about fucking anything. You bring him on to come and say some fucking bullshit, and it's like, what does he get from this other than just his attention, his ego, and like what do we get from this? And if anyone thinks like these billionaires are out here making good points, you need to grow a fucking brain. Like this has to stop. The media is so out of touch in terms of like I don't, we've known Fox News has always operated with an agenda, but now it's like it's sad to watch the type of coverage that like MSNBC or like whatever one of these types of networks, like their coverage on like Epstein has been hilariously stupid. They get on there every time and just act so fucking clueless as to like what could be going on, and like, well, there's just a lot of people seem really worked up, and it's just this weird conspiracy, and like, like the fact that,
Seriously.
and it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, they just will not deal with the substance of the matter most of the time, and they've been kind of forced to because it's so sensationalized, and they know that it's like the only way they're gonna get relevant ratings,
Yeah.
but it's just so like it's just it's like so obvious at this point how how they operate in this little rich bubble of like, well, let's just make sure our narrative fits our like masters like needs, like we have to shape this, and that's all it is. It's just like this conversation is always being shaped, and it's just like, and I just think people are seeing through it, and it's clearly not for anyone other than to protect the like rich and powerful.
Yeah. So just to go back to what you're saying about like billionaires and whatnot, yeah, they could solve things. I want to say like to solve, is it world hunger? Yeah, I think to solve world hunger would cost about like $88 million, which is like nothing, right? Make it that's just solid
Right.
100 million, but no one does it. I mean, and again, like that's to solve it, I guess per year. That's solve it, but like to feed the hungry
Right. To
for a
keep
year,
people from going like,
yeah, would be
yeah.
$100 million, and it's like you could do that 1,000 times if you're Elon Musk, uh, and it would not matter to you in any way, shape, or form
Yeah.
because you're not going to spend that money. But they don't do it because spending that kind of money on something that may not have return on it'd be like you or I spending 50 grand. Like the feeling of just like dropping that kind of money would
Mm-hmm.
be too sickening to do. So like and so they don't do it. They're and on top of that, they're sociopaths. When you make that kind of money, it almost turns you to a sociopath, right?
It definitely does. There's no other way to explain their behavior at this point. It is
Right.
sociopathic. Like it's beyond like sociopathic.
Well, there's another way too. Now, have you heard of this Curtis Darwin guy?
Is he the dark techno feudalist fucking guy
Yeah,
who's basically like we don't even need like government. We should just like he basically wants like what cyberpunk like everything just run by corporations and like
yeah. Which is to
feudalistic
say that
corporations.
you need government. You just don't need like a democracy. What you need is rich people controlling everything, and that's the same.
Yeah.
Feel like Curtis Yarvin, Elon Musk, they're part of this group where they believe in this stuff, and they're like, yeah, we should own. Like I think it was Bezos or someone. Oh, no, maybe it was Zuckerberg. Like they want to buy like a city, right? Turn it into like Facebook land, and it's a city of the future. It comes wrapped in this like facade of being like this is a new age future of like the human experience when really it's just them owning a city and thus people inside of it, right?
Yeah, and not having to look at like the ugly likeness that their policies and their influence has like dealt the world. Like they don't want to look at homeless people. They want to make a city that protects them from all of like the ugliness that they're creating. Like because they just don't. It's it's like you go it's like you die and you get judged, right? And like but like I don't necessarily believe in like the Christian idea of like whatever, but like for them it's like they don't ever want to deal with that side of like the repercussions of their actions. They don't want to even think that like the things that they do, like they have to think that they're what they're doing is a net good, right? Or they just don't care. Like the psychological level where they're just not dealing with the guilt or the conscience of like their choices. Like it's like when Zuckerberg like is buying parts of Hawaii and just kicking natives out and like all of these evil things that they do.
Yeah.
And it's just like how do they mentally emotionally process those things at all? And
No.
like to build a city on that level is just to literally live in their own like fantasy bubble of like, yes, we are all so great and we've done so well and we're all so rich that we were able to shape the city and like do this. And it's just like, and they just think of everyone else as numbers to exploit. Like they literally don't. That's all they think of us as at this point. They don't think of us as human beings.
Right. Well, if you're talking like Elon, it's like the means justify the ends. It's like if I'm going to take the human species and make it you know, uh, galactic,
Get it to Mars or whatever.
yeah. What is it if I kill 1 billion people? There's 8 billion of us. Like we're still gonna be good. Like, and this is a net positive. Like they have to twist these things around to where everyone that's not them is basically a number. Like they are real people doing real things, whereas the rest of us are just it's like pod people walk around like ready to be exploit. Our purpose is to be
Yeah.
exploited by the greatness that he is.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think that's where they're at. They literally think they are like more important. Well, that's obvious, but like to the point that like everybody else is like expendable and or barely even human. You know, like they
Right.
do just think of us as data points in a spreadsheet. And you know, like this again, like if you want to talk about like COVID, like before it was always like that made sense in a way that like I kind of like I never swung to the anti-vaxxer side, but I understand their like thinking a lot more in terms of just being like, because I was always like, oh well, they were gonna do the vaccine no matter what. You know, they kind of crunched the numbers and they said this was gonna be the net positive, this was gonna be the solution. But it's like, and like that made scientific cold sense. And it's like if there is like any sort of side effects or whatever, like they crunched the numbers and they said, yeah, that's a worthwhile enough risk for us to take.
Right.
And that's like kind of justifiable. But it's like when you do that kind of cold math on like everything and just look at everyone as like data points, like I think that's how they operate. Does that point make sense? Like where the connection, like that thread in my head.
Well, I understand what you're trying to say in the sense that if you're trying to give an anti-vaxxer the best sort of steel manning you can do for them, it's like
Yeah.
they have a deep distrust of the government, which is earned.
Yeah, that's what
However,
I was getting at. Is that
yeah,
distrust? I understand their distrust more, you know,
yeah,
like as opposed to before. I gave more, I guess, benefit of the doubt into not thinking that these people were just blatant sociopathic, like evil, like whatever. And now it's just like, no, like there is no good person in government, or like I'm just like these are all fucking. They need to be charged and like held to account for their crimes against humanity.
yeah. Like you can see the logic, the dots connecting on that. But yeah, but that kind of brings me to the other thing with these like these villains, these Lex Luthors that are in our world in real life. It's like, well, even in the movie, it's like like Luthor Corp is a global company. There's people that work there, there's people that support him and like his products, and it's like, well, that's kind of the problem too. Like, why can't you see that Elon Musk is throwing up Nazi, Sig Heils, like, and not just see it, but then like internalize and say, oh, you know what? Fuck that shit. Fuck him. I'm not going to buy anything related to him, and I hope his empire crashes. But there's people that support him, and I think that's the other main thing is that for every villain out there, you know, there's a legion of sycophants who are like, yeah,
Yeah.
like that guy is just the truth, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like you're seeing it now with Trump and Epstein. It's like, dude, like how many smoking guns do we need to see about Trump being with Epstein before you realize like he's not Pam Bondi isn't keeping the shit from coming out. Dan Bongino isn't keeping the list from coming out. It's fucking Trump. Like he is that.
Yeah. This is like, I mean, if we really want to get into, I mean, this is next level depravity.
Now,
This is really fucking like absurd. And the sad fact is like, this has been there the whole time. It just took his own government to fucking like fall over their own face and mishandle it this bad for everyone to actually like engage in the conversation again. But it's like all of this stuff has been known, like, and nobody's been willing to just go like, yeah, Trump probably is a fucking pedophilic rapist. Like, and it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, look at all of this evidence, and then the fact of the matter that there's so many people. Like, they keep going. Like, this is my problem with like the mainstream media. They have all of the means to talk about all of the people who could connect the dots. They simply don't. What about everyone who was in the jail cell that night? Like at fucking like
right.
when Jeffrey killed himself. Why can't we talk to some of those prisoners? Why can't we talk to some of those guards? You know, like somebody go interview them. You know, there are all of these connections and these figures that are like known, but then they just sit there and go like, yeah, I don't know how we're gonna get to the bottom of any of this without the files. It's just too
Yeah.
like, it's a, who knows? And the
Get
only
into
person in
journalism.
jail right now is a woman who, like, yes, I'm not like condoning anything, but she wasn't the one raping them. She
Right.
helped like the whole thing happen, but like the fact that it's a woman in there like is just like so weird. And then you've got literally like it's not smoke, it's smoking guns, like you were saying, you know, like it's just it's all pointing right to this guy as being one of the biggest clients on that client list.
Yeah, it is like okay, so like let's take everyone back a little bit to some of the psyche behind. So the current, the modern day conservative entity, one of their catchphrases is they want to protect all children, right, from
Right.
people that want to hurt them, aka trans people. All right, we don't want you transing kids. We don't want you raping kids because you're in bathrooms and shit because you don't know what gender you are. Okay, well, I never bought that, but let's say, hey, maybe that's your thing.
You
Fine.
know, yeah, go ahead,
Right.
go ahead.
So the Epstein thing is going on, and like you said, it's been going on effectively since the beginning. Ever since he's been on the scene, and not a peep. They don't say a word. Epstein dies. Everyone knows Trump's already on the list. He's been on the plane like I think 10 times. He's been
Yeah.
to the island several times. He's on camera with Epstein. They're laughing it up, talking about
Epstein
women.
literally calling him his best friend for like
Yeah,
10
yeah.
years.
So they don't say a word, which well, clearly you're not worried about kids. You're probably more worried about trans people. But I digress. But uh, now that everything's coming to light, or actually not coming to light, but just exploding in the way that it's exploding, it's like, dude. So have you seen the Coke? Like Charlie Kirk being like, "Well, I'm just going to trust the government." Like,
Oh god, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's
you
just such
know,
a like, oh my god, bootlicker's response. It just and it just shows that these people are deeply not serious. They have such an
exactly.
agenda, and it's just like, dude, go fuck yourself. And to me, it's disgusting. It's literally like it's sickening on a level that is just both like you've used this whole like protecting kids and thing as an emotional cudgel to get people worked up, and you've been using it like and push and projecting all of that onto Democrats. And it's like, and I'm not going to defend any like establishment Democrat at this point because these people are fucking pathetic and ridiculous and and like are just now trying to go like, oh wait, maybe we can score some points on this and like if we do it right, but clearly there's other people implicated and
Oh
they,
yeah,
they otherwise they would have taken this on a long time ago. But
yeah,
the thing that's so weird, it's just like this all started from QAnon. It was all this like so it's been worked up even before the Epstein list, and it morphed into this like this real thing from this sort of like fictitious like narrative, this conspiracy narrative, and so it's become so integrated into the DNA of like the MAGA movement, and like I would like get into these conversations with my parents, and it was always my mom who would get all worked up about the kids thing and protecting the kids. So they use this as sort of this emotional manipulation, to get people who, because she would always be like, I don't really like Trump, but like, he's going to get in there and sort out all this,
yeah,
like, and I'm like, I don't understand how you think that's supposed to work, but that's where it was.
yeah.
It's so central to the emotional sort of like ethos of everything that they sort of justify. They're like, we can be as ugly and as hateful and as or righteously indignant and ignorant as we want because we're out here protecting kids,
Right.
like, and that's the core of our sort of like family values or whatever it is, and now it's just completely unraveling in such an unbelievably absurd way,
Well, it's unraveling in a way that it's finally showing the MAGA movement it's the cult that it actually is, right?
Right.
Because
It
there
is
was a time when
finally
they could
time
say,
for them to like, okay, either you're fully in a cult and you're gonna buy this lie and stay in the cult, or it's time for you to acknowledge it that this is a fucking cult, and the thing he's asking you to do is to deny all of your like your principles as a person, as a human, as like a member of like a functioning United States citizen,
right. And the funniest thing about me is how it went from, in this election, oh, we're going to release the list, right? They need to release the list, right? To, okay, we got in there. They did this whole thing where they're handing out binders to like right wing
Yeah.
influencers, like this is the Epstein files, and we're going to comb through it, and we're going to release the list, whatever, right? Then they're being, oh, well, there's actually no list. There's nothing to see here. The
Yeah.
FBI is closing everything, right? Everything is fake. And then now it's, oh well, there is a list, but the Obamas made it, Remember that black guy? Yeah,
Yeah,
he's scared of that black Muslim,
yeah,
Hawaiian, Kenyan, and also the
pulling out
Clintons
all the
too.
classics.
And the Clintons made it too, despite the fact that Bill Clinton's on the list as well. So
He's been
Hillary
heavily
Clinton made
implicated
it
in
up,
all of
put her
them.
own husband on there.
No, it's insanity. It's so laughable. But this is like always how Trump has operated. His whole superpower has just been how shameless he is, and it's just amazing that he's been caught up in similar types of lies, but just somehow like got through. But this web is way too sticky. Like I just don't think he can really get away from this one in the same way. Like I don't know how this is going to end, but I don't know if we'll ever get the sort of like conclusion we deserve. But it's just like it's so telling that Rupert Murdoch, of all people, is the one releasing these like these this illustration and this latest thing. It's like
Letter.
they've got something that he wouldn't have put that out. I mean, that's Rupert Murdoch.
Right.
Like Fox News, Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert Martin, because the OG Rupert's I think is dead, but like, yeah, this is of the Fox News.
Yeah, Murdochs. I mean, either way, like the fact of the matter is, like they're putting that up because then they've got more. This is like it's like not even a warning shot. This is just kind of like, all
For sure.
right, because you can just
Rupert's
tell
still
the
alive.
way. Yeah, I thought he was, but
Holy shit.
he's old as shit,
94?
right?
Old fucker. Evil fuck. How are you still alive? Anyway, keep going.
I don't know, but like the way Trump had been behaving all to the lead up of this was like very telling. Like he's been very panicky and not really
There's some made up
like
things,
making.
Alex. We don't want to ruin people's lives. I can't do
Yeah, like all of that, but like there's in this last week when they fumbled the whole like, yeah, we're just not going to release it, and now like all of these back and forth like ways, and it's just like he knew something was coming out. Murdoch gave
Yeah.
him a fair warning, and but it's just in all these is I just don't think you can salvage this.
And what's amazing is, so he's threatening to sue the
I think he
Murdochs.
already did. I think
So he
the
did,
lawsuit has already been filed. Yes,
which is,
but
I mean, Barbara Streisand, like, so it's going to bring more attention to the situation. And I mean, and Rupert, I mean, that guy's a billionaire, like
yeah,
40
he's got
billion or
the
whatever.
right. It's not like somebody you can just scare with a lawsuit. And the
Yeah, so
thing
he can
is
fight.
like, yeah, and he'll have to go into discovery if he really wants to fight this. Like, it's just going to bring more stuff to light. So it's like
Yeah.
really it's like Trump like making his own like hanging himself.
Now, are you telling me that Trump doesn't think ahead tactically?
Dude, the 4D chess thing is, I think, the funniest thing that like MAGA people love to fucking out, which is just like it's the most obviously stupid like thing because it's just not real. It's just not. I mean, that guy has no thinking. He shoots from the hip on everything and literally
Yeah.
contradicts himself constantly. And the fact that anyone thinks he's playing 4D chess is just really an insult. They're like insulting their own intelligence to just like even claim that.
Dude, it's so good. So yeah, that's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see what comes out in Discovery because they're going to have to ask for the files now and be like, no, this is what's going on, and we want to pull this out. If he wants to go to war, I'm sure Rupert would do it. Now, one thing that we didn't bring up as far as Epstein and kind of bring it back to Israel is his Mossad connection, apparently.
Yeah.
So, if you asked earlier, why is it we're doing a bidding of a different country? Well, it appears that this country's got sex files on basically every like mover and shaker in this country. So, that's something
Well,
that's kind of a big deal. They have everyone by the
well,
ball like that.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that's so dark about this too. And there's also like the other theory that like, oh, the CIA was like a co-operation between Mossad and the U.S. government CIA. But
Mm-hmm.
that also just like the reason it's so dark is it shows that they're not only complicit, they're actively child sex trafficking people for blackmail. Like that's not cynical. That's legitimately depraved. You know, like it's one thing to run a honeypot operation, but it's another thing to like actively like human sacrificing children to like monsters just to get dirt on them. And the fact is, it's just like nobody's. That's why everyone needs to know. We need to understand like what kind of villainy is really like happening here, and that's why there's so much collective interest in it, and it's like this weird unifying thing between people who are actually willing to break out of the cult and start grappling with this and this whole idea that the elite can get away with anything. We've all known about this two-tier justice system forever, but the reason this is also just like I think a very unifying thing is people are so sick and tired of seeing them get away with everything. And this is
Yeah.
legitimately one of the worst crimes you can commit, imaginable,
Yeah.
and they're just going to get away with it. Everyone's just
Right.
like, there's going to be no accountability. Like, I don't think like the American people can stomach that.
So I guess my question for you now is like, what do you think is going to happen? You think, I mean, is MAGA going to be like, fuck this guy? Because I've seen a few guys on the internet, kind of tepidly go in that direction, but I've seen many more be like, no, no, I'm 10 toes down with Trump and MAGA, and this is all a hoax.
It's
Like, what do
that
your
level
parents
of
talk to them? Like, what are they saying?
I think when it first started kind of coming to light, I sent a message to my mom, just being like, "Look, this is clearly a con man. You guys really like you need to wake up. Like MAGA needs to wake up to this." And she didn't really say anything, but she was kind of writing because she was tiptoeing with like she was like some Christian thought leader thing she had posted about like kind of being like, I don't know, this doesn't seem okay, but they always go and pray and find ways to justify it, which is just like so
Go and pray.
frustrating. It's just like, yeah, you just pray away the problem and then find weird justification, and it's just like I can't respect it. So I don't know, like I hope more MAGA people stand on business. Like it's good to see like the ones that actually are. It's funny to see people like Tucker and Candace Owens out here like making points, and I'm actually going like, hey,
Yeah,
yeah, good,
it,
keep doing
it, sick,
that.
it sickens me. I hate it, but it's like it's like that
Yeah,
meme. Like, worst person makes a point. It's like, oh,
it's funny too because those people are capable of, but like, and they're very good at what they do in terms of like inciting that level of like outrage, because when they're saying the things you want to hear, they're very like good at like making that point clear, like getting to the root of it, and just like you know making the point hit. So it's good to see that, but then it's also like where they go with the solution is always kind of like where you start kind of detracting away and going like, well, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second.
yeah.
Like that's not exactly it. Like you were there, you heard it, and then it's like you want to go a little too far.
Well, that's what that's always been the core plague of the right left alliance, which is like, yeah, like a fucking monkey can tell you, something's broken, right?
Yep.
Like, but like if a monkey were to break his arm, it could be like my arm's broken, but it takes a special type of person to be like, well, it's time to put a splint on it versus like rub dirt on it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
always been the solution part that we drift apart on.
Well, it's weird though because we've entered into this like stage in politics where people aren't even talking about like the future or solutions. Like the big beautiful bill, for example, is like was just forced through in a way that like there was no conversation around it where they're going, this is why this is going to be good for the American people. It was just like, nope, this is happening. Fuck you. Like, and this is just for the budget. This is for the budget. And it's just like, what? Like, there's nobody out here speaking to fixing problems. They want the problems to stay and they want to create new problems.
Yeah, no
Like
problem.
ICE as a functioning thing is just a fucking crazy, you're a hornet's nest with a stick and you're going to go hit more hornets nests and just make more angry hornets, you know? The
Yeah.
fact of the matter that their budget got like 10x. They want to offer people zero education required to give them six-figure jobs and like a $40,000 signing bonus just get like basically uneducated idiots who will fall in line to do this job. And it's like that's deranged. You're going to offer them this kind of position, this kind of power that basically isn't even challengeable right now. They're operating outside of like the law, you know, as it is. And you're going to give uneducated people like that's really good money in America, you know?
Right. Right.
And you're going to incentivize people to just sell out everything, like just be like, oh, fuck it, I can go be an ICE. And like, like, and that's the best money you can make in America, you know, for zero education, you know?
Exactly. Rounding up fucking brown people. Speaking of, hold on, let me grab something real fast. I don't want to keep too long, but I do think we have time to do a couple quick bits on ICE and Alligator Alcatraz, aka Alligator Auschwitz.
Yeah, dude.
Uh, you're in
It's
you're in the LA area,
yeah,
and so you have to deal with some of that stuff. I think I haven't because I'm down here with good Christian conservatives down here in
yeah.
Orange County. So
Right.
what have you seen?
I mean, to be honest, like all of the stuff that got ginned up here, I think was all for show and just to kind of like it was narrative. You know, they just wanted to like both do show force and be like, see, we're out here fixing the problem, and like just point to California like they always do and use it as a scapegoat to say like, oh, California's so fucked up. Like, look at it, blah blah. It's just like, it's just pure chaos out there. It's lawless. But like, it was happening in just the smallest area. Like the Black Lives Matter movement was so much bigger in terms of like the amount of rallies and the size and like how much that disrupted day to day shit. The fact that they went through on horseback in MacArthur Park is just like kind of absurd.
Yeah,
Like MacArthur Park's a mess, and like yeah, it's gross, and it's just but they're
it's
literally
not
just
even
they do
gross.
this, huh?
I mean, it's not even that like we live there obviously, and you probably wouldn't want to hang out there at night, but in the daytime it's actually a really nice park. It's really
No,
cool.
I don't mean the park is gross. I think the act of like what they're doing was gross. You know,
Oh,
like the park is fine. Yeah, it's definitely like it's had moments where it was like a lot of homeless people, and it's not the safest park ever. Um, but they do this shit just for the like the photo opportunity. Like a lot of this shit is just so they can like paint this narrative and it makes Trump feel powerful and like and it just stokes fear. I think a lot of it and a lot of the heavy-handed stuff was just to strike a tone. But then the fact that they're still doing it and they're just like picking up people like indiscriminately at times, and they're just like it's just it's disgusting,
yeah,
and it's so problematic that the fact that these are masked up people that like have no badge number and no way to like and they think that's okay, like that's I mean, everyone's been saying it, but I don't think loud enough. Is like you're setting a terrible precedence for anyone with bad intention to just put on a mask, dress like an nice person, and just kidnap people, and like
which is
have people
yeah,
too afraid to act. Like that is a terrible, terrible, unsafe thing you are setting up for our country. And who looks at these people in these situations and go, I feel better about America now. I feel better about where I live because of these types of things that are happening. Like you're just terrorizing, like immigrant populations and also just disgusting a good portion of people. There's some people who are sick in the head who will go, that's awesome and I love it, like
oh
and that there's a sickness that lives in the American like culture and zeitgeist of these people who want to fetishize violence and like violence against people for the good of the country, and it's appalling, man. And it's just gotten so out of hand.
yeah. It's just a show, and just the red meat that it creates, and just like you were saying, people that go like, "Oh yeah, this great, you're cracking skulls, are making things happen, or doing this, doing that," and it's like, yeah, maybe they are catching some illegals, but they're also rounding up, a lot of innocent people, and like people that aren't not only aren't illegal. Like they're flat out like Americans.
Right.
And it's crazy how they're just saying. I think it's Ben Franklin. It's like it's better to let 1,000 criminals go than jail one innocent person, or something along those lines. 'Cause
Yeah.
our jail system, I mean, it's right. You're innocent to proven guilty, right? But now they're
Right.
out here, you're masked up, they're just snatching people off the streets for alleged, some sort of criminality, if that's what you want to call being illegal here, and being thrown into these like, if you're lucky, you're still in America, but thrown into these like international dungeons, right? But now you
Yeah.
have alligator Auschwitz, where they're just dumping people in there, no due process, no ability to fight back, and it's just nuts. It's like you just get jammed up over nothing just because, like, what is it? Because you're here illegal, like you're working, though, you're not doing anything bad.
A lot of these people file taxes. They actually like they do their best and then they have to go through the right way. And it's like the right way isn't even really possible because it's not really offered. These people will try to do things the right way. And the system is designed to block them at every fucking step, you know? Like it's delusional to go like, oh, they shouldn't have done that illegally. And it's like, well, you're saying we just shouldn't have immigrants at all. And some people do want that. They just want like every immigrant out. And it's just like, but like there's so many arguments and I'm not eloquent or smart enough to know like all of them, but the immigrants are a net positive generally, you know, and they're
Yeah,
actually like typically well behaved and have lower criminal rates than citizens. So it's such a stupid thing. But
but yeah,
I just
but but
go
the
ahead.
thing is like if you're a person who's just like, what, you're here illegally, like that's not right. We should do something for it. Okay, fine, like I can ride with that. But the thing is, it's like, how is it that justice is like throwing you into a gang prison and you like being basically cut? Was it Kilmar Rego? He was saying how
Yeah.
there'd be moments where they like make you be on your knees for like 8+ hours, and you're not getting fed well, and you're sleeping in these like super lit up like cells with 30 beds in there, and you don't have any sheets. It's like, why do that? Like, why do you have to go that route with it? They always pick the most like grotesque medieval sort of response
Right.
to like the most minor of infractions.
I just don't like people are so crazy, and I just think it comes to this like everyone's got this like cowboy justice mindset, you know, in America of just like everything is sort of justifies if you're a criminal, like, and then like you kind of get what you deserve. But it's like,
Yeah,
is that what they deserve? And they just
exactly.
there's no precision, sort of nuanced response to any of this. It's use a sledgehammer for everything, and if you get a concussion and if you're collateral damage, well then you were probably in the wrong place doing something wrong and you deserve it type of mentality. And it's deranged. Like people are
Yeah,
not dealing with like reality. They've got this like vigilante justice crazed like I just don't get it. I don't understand people's brains in this country at this point because especially like men, they sit and they fantasize about this like moment, you know, like kind of consistently like, oh yeah, like if I was there, I would have fucking punched him too. Like I would have been right there, like knocking him out. And everyone thinks they're this like this Batman figure of like their own narrative, but it's just so stupid and like childish and like to celebrate these types of things as if they're like a net good. I just don't know how you look at this a concentration camp being built in a swamp with
it's
like snakes and all of this. And it's just like, A, it's a disaster waiting to happen because it's a flood prone area that could
yeah,
get hit by a hurricane. And you're just going to be like, this
it's
is
not even
so
funny.
cool. Yeah, there's nothing good about this. And you're like, America, land of the free. Like, I love it when we build concentration camps.
Yeah,
Like people go take pictures as if a muggle. And it's like, where is your empathy? Where is your heart?
like
Like, you
Steve,
don't
you're
have
getting
to.
eaten by a gator. It's like
I,
fucking Grand Theft
but
Auto
that
character. Fucking hey.
That's what I mean. Like everyone is getting wrapped up into this. Like I just don't know what the sense of justice or the justification of for any of this is so rat brain retarded. Like it's just crazy to me. Like you look at these things and you go, "Fuck yeah, man! These ice guys, dope, dude."
Yeah,
Mashed up like in military gear on American soil, fucking shit up, dude. Like that shit's dope. Get the military up in there and like fuck up my own citizens. Like I'm just so cool. Like it's like, what are you? Are you a child? Like, are you literally your brain is not developed? Like,
which is you could tie it back to like comics. Is like you could see that in a comic book, and it'd be known like, oh, these guys are the bad guys. They're the boot, Gestapo, like running through a city and subjugating
yeah,
the people. But in real life, for some reason, we can't make that connection. It's like, oh yeah, these guys are fucking rad. Like I'm cheering them on. And the other thing too is like, I got into a conversation with someone talking about. I kind of want to do a series on like conservative porn, and the first entry will be like the burning of like Los Angeles and California. Like I don't know what it is because you and we're both from the Midwest, right?
right.
And my family also like the deep roots in the South. I don't think I've ever heard from them or anyone in the Midwest be like, oh yeah, like fucking California or New York, like yo, it's like burning, like hey, they're getting what they deserve, and just like there's this fantasy about California, which is the objectively the richest, most important state in the union, just
Yeah,
collapsing. Like
they love it.
they love the idea of like shit going down in Los Angeles, someone having to bring in the military to bring it to heel, and it's like, why? Why are you so fixated about your biggest cities, your biggest state, like
They've literally
collapsing?
been, yeah, they've been brainwashed. Literally, like the propaganda and the bullshit that they hear about California consistently, they'll just use all of the wacky liberal policies and things, and then it's just pounded into their brains, and they've never visited, and they've just have this idea of what it is and like
I would
how
never go
all
to
the people
California.
are, and it's just like there's just like a lot of normal people out here just like trying to live their life, but they think everyone's like some level of like. Like everyone's out here doing like demonic shit all the time or something,
Yeah,
and we're all out here just like trying to trans kids every fucking second, and it's just like, what are you fucking like? What kind of delusional like rat brain fucking bullshit is like is swimming through your head? Because I'll get comments when I go home every now and again. Oh, California Newsom, blah blah blah, and it's just like, what
yeah,
about him? Like I don't fucking this is the other thing I've been grappling with a lot lately is like the right legitimately doesn't understand anything about like a left like a progressive viewpoint.
mhm,
They project everything onto like that they are told through like their right wing media like cycle. Most people on the left pretty much understand like where the right or at least like generally like actually I don't even know like I think there are a lot of left people who are pretty fucking like they have a pretty big blind spot to where some of these like people are coming from, so there is a little bit of a mutual thing, but like I don't think it's hard to figure out their positions a lot of times on things, like it's just like what is the Christian right, like position on this, okay, yeah, 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 but the right loves to project and then legitimately doesn't understand the argument. You know what I mean? The inherent like, well, no, they'll cherry pick a part of it, like, and then be like, and that's all of you, like you all think like this. This is what's wrong with your brains, and it's like, what?
yeah.
It, it's just so dumb. Like everything is so dumb right now and
Where they
hateful.
get that information from because all they listen to is right wing shit, and like if you're
Yeah.
watching Fox News and OAN and Newsmax, like they're not gonna explain to you that a left winger wants you to have universal health care because it's best for everyone. They're gonna be like, well, they want you to have it because they're communists, and communists like it's this Pavlovian like
They do all the
response and
buzzwords.
echo chamber. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly. Like with Trump, it was like his first response to try to get out of his Epstein thing was just to evoke the Clintons and the Obamas.
Yeah.
No,
The
there's
same
no other
scary
counter argument.
things.
You should, yeah, just say Clinton and Obama, say communists, you say, Muslims, and boom,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna trigger a certain amount of people to be like, oh yeah, those things are bad. That makes me feel
I do hate those
scary.
things.
I do hate them so clearly. Like, what were we talking about again? Like, oh, okay, yeah. So,
Yeah, but then meanwhile, populism is like very popular. Like when you actually start talking about like populist point of views or populist problems that are like affecting us all, like and those types of solutions. Like Zoran was, he was very efficient at what he was doing, like the way his campaign was, and the way they only smear him by trying to say he's a Muslim and he's a socialist, and like because they can't get into the meat and the bones of like any of the subject matter without losing horrendously to those things, because he just talks about the problems that are affecting everybody, like the price of living is just out of fucking control, like people can't afford, especially in these cities, like it's just they don't want to talk to those things, so they always rely on that Pavlovian sort of like bell ringing to just get them worked up. And people don't even want to grapple with like the true definition of like what communism is or what
Oh, they don't know.
socialist is, and
No,
or even understand that it's an economic policy. It's not.
doesn't matter.
It's an economic policy.
Doesn't matter,
Yeah. But they're just like it's evil. It's like
man. Yeah, there you go.
and just the free market, which the free market capitalism is so fucking out of control right now that legitimately like it's just clearly not working for anybody except for the top 1 to 10%. Everyone else is suffering from it, but meanwhile people still can't wake up to that because they're just so brainwashed into just accepting that like capitalism good, socialism, communism bad, and it's like that's it. They won't even engage in that, like, or learn or educate themselves about what these things are
Well, the
or
reason
how they
being is
affect
because
people.
they taught them that no, it's not that capitalism has failed you in any sort of way. It's that these illegals came over, took your jobs. These trans people trans your kids, and a socialist somewhere, did a thing, and now because there's a union in your state, now you can't like work. Just whatever
Yeah,
things, and people like eat it up. Like, oh yeah, some that makes sense to me. Like,
yeah,
leave him over. Never mind that the guy at the job, your manager hired that legal. Let's say, it's not that they did that because they wanted to pay him less money. It's because that job was stolen.
mm-hmm. it's it's so stupid. I just like living here. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills at this point because just people won't wake up to like the reality of things and just realize like the biggest problem we have, like, and the most addressable like concern, at least for a conversation, has to be about like wealth inequality, and like we really need a class awakening, and if that's not going to happen, we can't really get anywhere because otherwise we're just going to keep doing this cycle of like you fucking liberals and then like you fucking like dumb Republicans, like, and it just goes back and forth and back and forth, and like it just doesn't accomplish. That's all they want us to do. So if people aren't going to wake up and like educate themselves on these things, but the thing is the next generation is fucked. They're gutting education even more, so people are going to have even more limited access to education, and if the wealth inequality doesn't get fixed, like that's going to get so much worse. So you're going to have an even stupider, like like a
Or
less educated population coming in, a generation of people who have less means than ever before, and they're just going to go crazy. You can already see it. People are already losing their minds and just doing deranged, violent acts, just out of desperation and not being able to emotionally deal with the disgusting reality of like what our society is dealing, you know, everyone. Yeah. So I feel like I've been just like boiling over for like 3 weeks at least of just like so much frustration and anger and just like, but there's just been so many moments, especially with the Epstein thing, that it's just like this is so like gross.
yeah,
It's too gross, like, and the fact that people want to like pretend it's something it's not.
yeah. I mean, if we're gonna have hope for humanity, we have to end up on the right side of this, or we're doomed.
Yeah, and that's how it feels. You just living in America is you just feel like you're just constantly, perpetually doomed, and it just keeps getting worse. And I really do think like we're poised for like a next generation of like some type of revolution if things don't get fixed. And it's like I'm not gonna run a revolution, just like, but like there's no way like you can keep going down this path without dealing with some of these systemic problems and allowing them to get just like worse. They're not festering at this point. They're like it's like broken bones, people walking around with bones jutting out of their fucking, legs and arms, and these fucking billionaires are just gonna create their own city where they don't have to look at the bones protruding out of people anymore because it's just they're not gonna deal with it.
Don't need you lesser thans clouding my view of the city.
I just it's just crazy, like legitimately. Again, I know we're wrapping up here, but just that notion to have that level of wealth and to not want to fix problems that are there, it's just insane. It's criminal, like that these people are this selfish and greedy
Yeah,
and actively making the world a worse place for so many people.
right.
Oh, and one other thing, the fiduciary responsibility of fucking companies to like that are beholden to stock markets, that has to go away.
Uh, well, here's the thing. I get what you're saying. I thought about this too. I think they have to keep it though because there is a certain amount of like, yeah, your job is to make the best decisions for this person. Like if you have a stockbroker or whatever, they're supposed to do the best they can. But there's got to be another way to do it where it's not so sociopathic, right?
Right.
Like you
Like
can't be
I'm not
like,
saying you can keep it. The language has to shift because there used to
yeah,
be this capitalistic sense of like doing it within a moral framework, and they
exactly,
abandoned that.
yeah,
So then you need the regulation and the law to be like, hey, you don't just have a fiduciary responsibility to the stockholder; you have a responsibility to your employees. You need to not only make the stock market go up because like you can't just have that go up every year forever, like because the only way you keep doing that is lowering wages, getting rid of employees, like the notion that we just the culture and the mindset and the laws have to change because if that's the only thing you're beholden to, then you're only beholden to profit and zero responsibility to the people or the economy or how you affect like if you can poison the land and that makes the price go up and that still fulfills your need to the fiduciary responsibility, then that's okay. Like no, these things, it has to change because there has to be some language in there about like, hey, it's just like how we treat our employees, because we are literally on a paradigm shift that is going to be absurd when it comes to AI and the amount of potential for like the destruction of like jobs and general like ability for people to take care of themselves. If there's a mass reckoning of layoffs from that, and then people who normally had white collar jobs can't even get jobs in their field anymore, like you're going to create a huge problem.
you get a
And
bunch of Luigi's that way.
that's how you create like desperate people who had means and then don't, and then like they're forcing like, I don't know, man, like a social paradigm shift is inevitable, but people aren't planning or working towards it, and that's why it's like this capitalistic fiduciary responsibility of always price must go up instead of like, hey, being sustainable is good enough and giving our people, a home and like a sense of purpose and enough means to take care of them. There used to be a responsibility to your employees to make sure, and
Yeah,
that's just not there.
community. Yeah,
Yeah, like so, like that has to change in America, or we're fucking doomed.
that's the whole thing. It's like we're ruled by this sociopathic system, and that it's fruit. It's bearing this type of fruit where we live in it's an insane asylum seemingly.
Yeah, it does
So
feel like that, and the fact that people are defending it, and you keep wheeling out billionaires on the TV to just make the same old tired arguments about like, Zoran was out here talking about free bus fare, and fucking I saw an interview with Mr. Wonderful being like,
where are my
man,
girls?
people, yeah, people just want everything for free, It's like
Last
no, people
class,
just
free
want the
bus
government
fare.
to do some things that it could do to make the world a fucking is society a better place for us all? You know, like, and people are sick and tired of working 40 hours a week and not being able to afford a place to live. You know, like, so what the fuck are you talking about, you out of touch lunatic?
What next? You're gonna teach these people to read, huh?
I just want to put like normal people who are pissed off on like the same fucking, like, give them as much attention as your Mr. Wonderful. Put them in the same fucking like a little talking heads thing and let them fucking just scream it at them. Because these people need their bubble popped. They're living in such an unrealistic bubble, and those same talking points are just crazy. They're crazy to keep making them. The trickle down economy has not trickled down. And nothing's
Right.
changed. It's just gotten worse. We've doubled down, tripled down, fucking on the same system that is not serving anyone. So that's my, sorry. I was all rants today.
Well, that's what happens when we miss recording for 4 months or whatever. So
It's been a while.
that's,
Yeah, I had a
that's
lot
your
to get off
bottom
my
up.
chest. Uh, hopefully some
All
of
right,
it was
man.
coherent. But
What?
hopefully some of it was coherent.
Yeah, I think we did some good work here today. So, all right, man. Well, yeah, Mike. We'll see what's up. We might come up next week, not some other time. But
Yeah,
yeah.
let me know if you do. I might see if anyone else is around. And Kamo's been trying to swing by, but haven't
Oh
been.
shit, it was nice seeing him.
Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah.
But yeah, gotta come check it out.
Okay. Well, nobody asked for this, but you got it anyway. So here you go.
Yeah, there you go. Have a good one, people.
Bye.
All right, later.